Oh yeah, thought I'd make a rare small cameo, talk us through the Wednesday games. I know the Tuesday games are not long been uploaded, but I thought I'd go straight into the Wednesday ones with a couple of FA Cup replays and this League Two clash for Calver. It's mostly to explain how it's going to impact the weekend games. So I'm sort of glad we're starting with the FA Cup. Either way, both of these teams will be playing on Saturday. What competition they're involved in does depend on this replay though. So obviously drawing at the National League Prem side, home ground in the opening fixture, means they've got to play again today. Then whoever loses will take part in their respective league on Saturday. So if... oh, actually, no, maybe Ziggy won't. No, actually, I don't think Ziggy will. So if he wins, he'll take his place in the FA Cup second round, at home to the Reading 2024 side, who have just today let Brian McDermott sod off to Swansea. So I think they'll be managerless. So it's a pretty decent opponent for whoever wins this game. But actually, if he loses, I think he's got a weekend off because most other League Two teams are in FA Cup action at the weekend. LuTom, on the other hand, who might equalise here and do, if they find a way through, they'll be up against Reading 2024 instead, obviously. But if they lose, they'll instead play a league game at home to Crystal Palace C. So that will be a game where we just dissect the scores after the highlighted games. Those highlighted games being a League Two clash between Dan City Y and Hart Chamberlain after they both got knocked out in the first round of the FA Cup. A rare chance to actually see Wyman because he's been so busy with his European campaign. And then 4 FA Cup games. We've got Arsenal of League Two against Merseyside of the National League Prem. League One's Leicester against League Two's Harry Pally. Then the first instance of National League Prem against League One with Gore Liverpool up against Full of Strangeham. And then a sort of mouth-watering League One, League Two clash between Thomas and Warringham. No closer to really finding out who'll be getting that golden ticket at home to Reading's 24/managerless side. At some point during these highlights, I'll also go through the rest of the FA Cup games we've got lined up for the weekend. We might be staring down the barrel of some extra time and or penalties at this rate. And the inevitable appearance of Tom Lockyer will always please Tom. Extra time it is. Yet another example of the 4 newcomers more than holding their own against the initial drafters, despite being a year and around 550 players behind. They put up a few good fights in the first round when we had sort of League One, League Two matchups, including obviously this one, which at the moment is heading in the direction of the newbie. Arne Slot's men staring down the barrel of a weekend off as things stand. Not doing too well in this world or the real world at the moment. And neither is poor Ibrahima Konate, being lost at sea at centre mid at the moment. Come on, Maguire. See, that's why he should be at centre mid instead. Three minutes to save their FA Cup. But it's LuTom, the National League Prem side, that progress and have a great chance of getting through to the fourth round with a very favourable matchup ahead on Saturday. Now, annoyingly, we're darting over to League 2 now. So Calvert currently sitting in the sort of bottom end of those playoff positions in 7th. I mean, it's so tight. And a win today would put him hot on the heels of those automatic places. Some really big wins for Cheshampton and Jazz of the Rovers yesterday, as well as, again, the Red Wall, who extend their lead at the top. And that puts Robin van Persie out on his own at the top of the goal scorer list. Alan Shearer sitting on 9, Van Persie first to reach double figures. This should be a relatively comfortable win. Brighton B, their only 2 wins of the season are against non-drafted sides, and the only points they've picked up against us, 18. 2 draws, one with Jazz of the Rovers at the start of the year, and one actually with league leaders, the Red Wall, quite recently. So I mean, it's not beyond the realms, but you'd think unlikely. Oh, that won't help matters. Completely needless. Paul Merson getting yanked off so that Kudus can play defensive mid. That will put Kovacic out of the FA Cup on Saturday. Another pretty favourable draw, you'd think, despite being away. It's actually at Chelsea under 21s. So again, we should be seeing Calvin in the third round. Which is obviously what I meant earlier for LuTom as well. Gruda entering the database over the summer into the lowest possible Brighton team. Potentially setting them up for their 3rd result against drafted teams this season. Kudus is injured now. Bloody hell, Ehior comes on. This is absolute madness from Unai Emery. Now that he is chasing the game, he's got a centre back at defensive mid. When he was trying to protect it, he had a winger. Always great to see Ugo though. Calv currently sitting in 7th, but actually not in a supreme run of form. Sort of mid-table-y stats over the last 5 games, won 3, lost 2. He's lost 5 overall this year, and is amongst those at the top end who have actually played a pretty full assortment of games, whereas a few behind, myself included, have got some games in hand. And that will not help. I've really cursed Calv in this game. Surely time to bring a different defensive mid on. Maybe a fullback. Pen! Give it Hugo. Up to 11. As things stand, I don't think there are any League 2 games at all at the weekend. There is potentially one League 1 game, but that depends on the next FA Cup replay. Late drama. Late drama. Another summer edition, inflicting a very damaging loss on Dan City Cow. Could blame me, but let's blame Kovacic. So this could be a pretty tasty matchup, this one. You'd think the home side have the pretty major advantage. Won League 2 last year, very much in the hunt for automatic promotion from League 1 this year. Won their last 5 games, but didn't do the job in the first leg, or say, the opening match. And they've rotated quite heavily. Alex Iwobi at centre mid, Kanu, bless him, getting a game up top, Tim Howard in goal. It's not the usual lineup for Foyster's lads. Ranieri tinkering, as he likes to do so. Cracking save from stand-in Howard. Lawrence's Hart Chamberlain, another one a bit like Calv, very much in that playoff hunt at the moment, just hovering around sort of anywhere between 4th and 8th. Was as high as 2nd at one point. Really all of his games have been sort of 6, 7, 8 goal thrillers. Nothing yet here though. So if Foyster goes through, or whoever goes through, they'll be up against Coventry B away, so not as easy as the last 2 we've mentioned. Bit of a tricky banana in that one, but at least they'll be in that second round draw. If White Hart Chamberlain lose, then they'll have a weekend off, a bit like AZ Wimbledon. However, if Foyverton lose, they're actually scheduled to go to Middlesbrough B at the weekend. So again, cover that scoreline if it comes to that. So I was going to quickly run through the rest of the FA Cup games. So I said about the live ones earlier, the featured ones. I mentioned LuTom up against Crystal Palace C. Oh no, sorry, that's no longer happening because they're playing in the FA Cup. So FA Cup wise, we've got Newcastle D up against Cheshampton, Cardiff against the Red Wall, Coventry B playing the winner of this game, LuTom against Reading 24, Chelsea under-21s against Dan City Cowl as they look to recover, the Tractor Bulge against Fulham C, Newcastle C against Buston Villa, Bolton B against the Mattpies, Daniel C at home to Sheffield B, who got their first league win of the season yesterday, and Chelsea D at home to Jazz of the Rovers. And I didn't need to rush that because we've got 30 more minutes here. And then on Sunday, actually, we also have a National League Prem against League 2 matchup with Nottingham Giant Forest up against the Skyloos. Actually, coming up after this, have a quick look around the League 2 table to see how that's impacted Dan City Cow. Got a couple of European games as well. And how big a goal might that be? Ranieri's gamble not paying off. And just like the other FA Cup replay from today, it's the underdog with a massive chance to go through. Fantastic names on the pitch right now. Carnu, McManaman and Ian Rush all involved. Cranshaw as well. It's flowing strawberry blonde locks. I think we all want penalties really, don't we? Gary Mabbott's on. For a date with Coventry B. Tim Howard wanting Edouard Mendy's place long term. Oh, 0-0. Porro for the win. There it is. 2 FA Cup replays, 2 underdog victories. Our reigning champion gone. I say our League 2 champion, not FA Cup champion, of course. Alright, so I'm just going to go quickly check out the League 2 table. If I can type it in properly. Go to the wrong page. There we go. So yeah, Cal was always going to hold on to his playoff position ahead of the weekend. But you'll see I've got 4 games in hand now. Lawrence himself, 3 games in hand. And you go down to the Sky Loose and Dan City Y in 16th and 17th. God knows what they're going to do. They're only 5 and 8 points respectively off the... No, sorry, 8 points off the playoffs. But they do have 1 million games in hand. I'm going to go to the Champions League now. If my game's actually finished, there's normally a bit of a lag. No, we're good. And a nice 4-0 win. Up against Alkmaar. Not so attractive injury for Joe Linton there. And also pretty hideous seeing Michael Ballack at centre-back. No idea who those fullbacks are. But a win is a win. How about Warringham? Whoa, much more impressive. 1-0 against Juventus. 4 injuries in the game. Again, Haaland not been involved recently. I'm not sure if he's injured actually. But a mixture of Felipe Anderson, sometimes Milan Baros in recent weeks. Keeping Matt very much in the mix across most competitions. Only allowing 1 shot, not a single shot on target. Impressive. League table there. Warringham moving up into the top 8. And after a pretty shocking start for myself, back in the mix to retain my Champions League title. Europa League. Down City Y. There we go. Good win. Home to Benfica. Another pretty dominant display. Zuma and Akanji. No idea what that lineup was for. Obviously not taking this competition particularly seriously. Accidentally doing alright in it anyway. Currently sitting in 10th, again, very much within touching distance of those automatic qualification places, which currently contain Watford A and Portsmouth. Tomorrow, we'll go through the score of the Europa Conference League game, which Louis is involved in. Sky Lou's somewhere around here. Are they? There they are, away at Hibernian. Nice short trip ahead of their Sunday FA Cup clash with Nottingham Giant Forest. No more manager sackings for the day. 40 and Holloway. We'll leave it there.